Hello there, I am joined by Shimon Akad, the COO of Playtech, and Brian Goodman, the CEO of the Golden Matrix Group. Hello and welcome to the studio.
Hi, Katie.
Great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So, the Golden Matrix feels like something of a hidden gem in the industry. With a global footprint that now spans B2B and B2C operations, can you talk us through the evolution of the business?
Well, I guess, Katie, it's an interesting story, but we started off, most people know, as an obscure company that was listed on the pink sheets in America, and we worked our way up to being on NASDAQ. And we're an amazing company in terms of we very diverse. We, as you mentioned, we do B2B, B2C, but the diversity is not only in terms of those genres, it's also in terms of we have a global footprint. We operate in over 21 countries, government licensed jurisdictions, and also our diversities in terms of our products. So we do raffle ticket businesses, sportsbook, we do casinos, and pretty much that's where we're at, and we're out there and we're growing the company.
And a question to you, Shimon. Playtech's customer base operations are global, but how did the relationship with Golden Matrix start? How did it begin?
So the relationship with Golden Matrix started many years ago, and in fact we have a very rich history together. And the thing that we really appreciate and love about the fact that as Golden Matrix built up the business, and they started very small, as Brian mentioned before, the more they expand the business, the more they come and work with us as their, let's call it B2B additional supplier, to make sure that part of their portfolio, part of their technology, and part of everything they need, they work with us. So we're very happy to grow with them, the business over the years.
Lovely. And both your businesses are working on US expansion this year, with Playtech expanding across multiple states, while Golden Matrix has a New Jersey license pending. We've seen a lot of companies pull out of that market. What do you think it takes to make a success of the US?
So in terms of Golden Matrix, we decided we didn't want to operate in the initial stages in America because, I guess, as you mentioned, there's a graveyard of people who've tried and failed, and so we didn't want to get in there and compete with the big end of town. And so our decision was to rather supply them with content. And so we have our own gaming content, and we supply some of the sweepstake businesses already in the US and generate income, but we'll soon have our New Jersey license, and that's where we'll rather partner with them and supply them than compete with them. So that's our positioning.
I think the US market is probably one of the more exciting markets that you have today in the online industry. I think when you go to the US market, you have to be absolutely serious about what you want, and you need to understand that because of the sheer size of it, and yet the different distribution of the states, each of them regulated separately, you need to make sure that whatever you do in the US, you will come with a long-term strategy. And you need to do it in a very smart process with proper investment in what you do and how you do, right? We also started in New Jersey about 5-6 years ago. We started with really good partnership, and then we expanded, right? You will see many states that do betting. You will only see a few states that do gaming, but those states that do gaming are highly lucrative. And of course, one of them being New Jersey. There's also Pennsylvania and Michigan. There's a few others coming. So all in all, I think if you do the US, you have to be absolutely serious about it. You have to understand that investment will go throughout the years, and you need to do it step by step. What we did is we started with some of our products, mostly casino, and then we added our platform, our IMS, which is our PAM, which is the leading, by the way, it won the PAM of the year this year. And then we added more and more products. We launched our live all across the different states, which we'll be happy to work with everyone. And we launched also our sports. And hopefully this year we plan to launch our poker. So the US is a long-term strategy to what you do. You cannot just come and think you will make money in a few years and then you will pull back. You need to understand it. You need to invest over time. But I do believe, we all believe in Playtech, that if you do invest over time, you will see amazing returns.
So you both run expansive businesses, whether it's Golden Matrix's global portfolio, which expanded further thanks to last year's acquisition of Meridian Bet, or Playtech's regulated market footprint. How important is localizing your product to achieve a foothold in these markets?
Well, I think it's not only localizing the product, it's finding somebody on the ground that potentially is culturally is aware culturally of what that market requires. And so when we move into a new marketplace such as Brazil, we've just been granted a license in Brazil, we look for a local partner. We don't try and enter the market and think basically that we know everything. We'd rather partner with somebody who's an experienced operator, and that's how we address these different markets. We don't, localization, the products are pretty flexible, but it's more so people understanding the local arena and knowing how to operate a business in that market. That's for us anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to agree with Brian here. It's there's logic in economies of scale, right? So once you do something, it also makes sense in other jurisdictions. But then you need that last 10, 15, maybe 20% that's local to that specific jurisdiction. And you need to know how to adapt your technology, your content, your approach. And obviously, if you do come with a pump, with the platform, you need to make sure that the platform is regulated. So each and every jurisdiction will obviously have different regulation, because the regulators, as much as we love all of them to speak with each other and have the same regulation all across the globe, surprisingly they don't. And everywhere you go, regulation is different. So you need to make sure that your technology, be it the casino or the pump or your sports, is specifically tailored for that specific market. So I'd say probably 80% of what you do can go global, and that's the economies of scale, and that makes sense as a business. But then you want to work in specific regulation, you need to make sure you come with that additional adaptation, and you need to understand that specific market to actually succeed there.
So Playtech is growing strongly in South Africa, and Golden Matrix has a presence in Tanzania and has secured a South African license last year. What are your thoughts on Africa, both of you?
Well, I guess people refer to developing markets and mature markets, but you shouldn't confuse developing markets with small markets. People just think, oh, this is a developing market, maybe a small one. South Africa in particular is quite a mature and large market. And so, it's a good opportunity for us, the same as Brazil. Brazil is actually a developing market. It's only granted licenses a few weeks ago, but actually it's one of the largest gaming markets in the world. So each one has, different opportunities. As you mentioned, we operate in Africa already and throughout Latin America. But as to Playtech, obviously they've been in the South African business for a while now.
Again, I fully agree with Brian. I think, Europe and some parts of the world are quite mature in what they are. And when you look at the yearly growth rate, even if it's double digit, it's a lower one. And some of the places are not even growing at that speed. So if you want to make sure that your business keeps on growing, that's where you go international. That's where you expand the business. And expanding the business will definitely have to come in places such as you mentioned, Brazil, LATAM, South America. And obviously, Africa is also a very interesting place. It's just probably the beginning of that market starting to properly grow and show proper numbers. Now, South Africa, from all of Africa, is probably the more developed, mature market. But even that, I'm sure, has a lot of more potential and growth to it and focus for all of us in terms of where the market is going.
Operators have been discussing it as an opportunity for growth for a long time. Do you think that the industry is starting to make more of a concerted effort now to grow there?
You mean specifically in
Africa?
South Africa?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm starting to see it. I think that you mentioned Brazil. I think the fact that Brazil and Peru just regulated here kind of a little bit diverted from the focus from Africa, and still people are looking more, from what we can tell, most of the operators still in the area of Brazil, South Africa. But we definitely think that Africa should not be neglected and that there's a lot of potential to it. Now, obviously, if you do your priorities, maybe you would rather go to Brazil now, Peru, and South America. But definitely, shortly after, you should be making sure that you're looking also at the South African and the whole African continent as a potential for the future to grow.
Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we see Brazil as the largest opportunity. It's different to America in that America is state by state, whereas Brazil is a federal license. It's the whole country, and so for us to move into Brazil. We already have an existing operation there. We were just granted a license the other day, but before that we were allowed to operate. And Peru, we also have a license in Peru, and so we have we sound like we're twins, but we all believe in the same thing, and we move in the same direction. But that's mainly because they've been mentors of mine for many years, and we appreciate all their support. But we do. I mean, it's interesting to find that we believe in the same strategies.
And how do you both manage the complexity of running global operations? I mean, do you find it more effective to centralize operations or decentralize things and have local teams targeting different markets or products? Brian, to you first.
Yeah, I think in terms of marketing, we have different teams that are taking care of marketing, but there are things that need to be centralized. And in terms of our technology, certainly Sportsbook is a much more complex product to operate than it is a casino. Sportsbooks have risk attached to them, and we have risk teams that are centralized. We take in feeds from different sporting feed providers, and we have very advanced technology. One of the few new age technologies that is AI driven, and so these are centralized because they have the power of spitting out odds. I mean, we can go, it's a whole conversation that the power of a sportsbook is sometimes in the real-time betting rather than the outcome betting. There's more money to be made in it. And in order to do that, you need very sophisticated systems that take in a feed and push out bets. We can put out maybe 2,000 lines per match, while a match is in progress. And you cannot do that physically. You can, with people, it has to be, technology driven. And most of those operations are centralized.
Mm-hmm. And Shimon?
I think one needs to find some kind of a balance between how much is centralized and how much is local. And probably there's more focus because we do technology, and then we can take technology and we can spread it all over. You do put a lot of the focus on the centralized, but without those local hubs, local offices, be it in South America or in Africa or in the US, of course, you can't really get the product all the way to the player, to the end customer, right? So you need to find the balance between the head office that produces a lot of work and centralizes and make sure that everything is efficient and smart, invest in technology, invest in innovation, invest in the people, and then get those local offices. And if you get the balance right between them, I think that you get yourself a solid business going forward.
So we're now at the start of a new year. It would be great to get an idea of what Playtech and the Golden Matrix's priorities are. What have you both got planned for 2025?
Our goal and our strategy, probably Brian knows us for many years, is trying to become the supplier of choice of the industry. Really come with open arms, open strategy, and work together alongside with the leading operators on international business. And we'd like to see ourselves continuing in that direction, work on proper technology, come up with innovation, try to work hard to continue to lead the market in what we do and how we do, and continue to expand the business, listen to the operators, listen to where they go, sometimes maybe hopefully give proper advice, work together, collaborate to make sure we continue to grow the business. We've done some very good M&A and selling of the M&A that hopefully will happen this year as well, and we continue to hope on that direction.
And Brian?
For me, I guess this is a similar situation, but M&A is quite important because we're a less mature company than Playtech, and we need growth. Even though our revenues, we just announced year on year, we're 61% growth in our revenue, so we have an exponentially growing company, but we believe that we need to make some further acquisitions to give us scale and also expand our global footprint. So, I think we're similar in that strategy as well.
Brian, Shimon, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us. Thank you very much for having us.